Thank you for joining us for another edition of The Akronist. I am excited today to introduce to you Dru Joyce. Who is Dru Joyce? He spent 14 years at St. Mary as a high school coach. He's won 3 state championships, 1 national championship, and he has authored the book, Beyond Championships. Dru Joyce, welcome to The Akronist.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to share.
Dru Joyce, you wrote a book, Beyond Championships, and yet how many championships have you won for St. Mary? You've mentored the man who was trying to bring a championship to the Northeast Ohio area, LeBron James, and yet you wrote a book, Beyond Championships. Help me understand that.
Well, I guess what I want people to understand is that the championships are nice, and they've been great, but the opportunity to pour my life into the lives of young men is much greater, and that's what I recognize and I understand as my calling and my purpose. And coaching basketball just happens to be the vehicle, and whatever you do, you want to be good at. So in basketball, those things are measured by championships, but at the end of the day, it's really about the lives.
So let's talk about the one life in particular, LeBron James, and talk to me about how you met him and how you mentored him, because I believe that we're enjoying this notoriety and what God is doing through him and how he used you to help bring him to this point in his career.
Yeah, LeBron and my son were rivals. They played in the Akron Rec League, played against each other, and had some very good games playing against each other. And my son Drew had an opportunity after the rec season to play for a travel basketball team. And the season was going on, and the team lost some players, and I happened to mention to the coach that I knew a player who happened to be LeBron. And I brought LeBron and his mother to a practice, and they kind of liked what was happening. And it was near the end of the travel basketball season, so we didn't really play in a tournament. We had a few practices, and the team honestly kind of fell apart. But then that next fall, which would have been the young men going into 5th grade, Drew and LeBron, the team was trying to get back together, and the parents, the coach had moved on, and the parents asked me to coach. I was kind of that dad who would come to practice and stand in and be the defender if they needed it. So they thought I knew a lot about the game, which honestly I didn't. But I jumped at the opportunity to be involved with my son, because it was his dream at the time to play Division I college basketball.
Okay.
And I wanted to help him, honestly, to make that dream come true. And in that process, LeBron was a player on that team, eventually became the best player. But the relationship was more than that, because he was like most kids. He was very active in sports, but he enjoyed us and our family. And LeBron's mother, I thank her to this day. She trusted me with her son and allowed us to travel and play in a lot of tournaments. And we had just made a commitment, myself and the other coaches, that we would live a Christian example in front of these young men, that that basketball would be a vehicle for us to help them learn life lessons that we thought would be needed in life, and that life lessons that we learned through sports. So that's how it all started.
LeBron wrote the foreword in your book.
Yes.
Now talk to me about that, because he said he takes some of those lessons and has applied it to his life.
Yeah. I asked him, one day I said, LeBron, he was at St. V and in the gym over the summer, he was working out, and I said, LeBron, I'm going to write a book. And, he said, Coach Dru, you can have a story. And I said, well, I want you to do the foreword. He said, of course. And in the foreword, he mentions that the life lessons, but he said the one that was most important to him was the heart of a servant. And I think that that's what we tried to do. I tried to live that in front of him, not just. You say, well, how can you use basketball to teach service? But you can, and any kind of a team sport. you serve one another. You want the kids to understand that they're part of something bigger than themselves. So that's how we taught the game, and over the years, we shared not just our not just money, but our time, our talents with those young men, and LeBron was very appreciative of that. He saw that example. He saw what we did only because we chose to, not because we had to, but because we chose to, and we went out of the way to make that experience great for them. And I believe that it's had a major impact on him, and you can see it in his life today as he reaches back and wants to be of service to kids.
So, Coach Dru, you said you were kind of thrown into coaching. It wasn't something you aspired to, but because of your son.
Mm-hmm.
And you then picked up principles.
Yes, and most of the principles are really biblical of nature, in nature, and that, in the book I talk about decisions create environment, which really is a take on sowing and reaping. And so what I hope the kids to understand is that their decisions count. That you need to understand your intentions, and then your decisions are going to help create the environment that you live in. And we use that in helping them to understand, even in the game of basketball, in that moment, the decisions that you are making create the environment that's happening during the game. And then on a bigger stage, it happens in life. We talk about in the book, it's discipline, not just desire, that determines your destiny. And we want the kids to understand that, everyone has a desire, everyone has that thought to want to do something, but you need to have a discipline in place to make it happen. You have to have a standard that you live by. And I share that, one of the biggest things through coaching has helped me. That the biggest discipline through coaching, and it's kind of strange, people want to say how, is my prayer life. My prayer life became stronger through the basketball because, I didn't know, and I was always looking for, very prayerful about opportunities, that I would see things that I wouldn't pass up, that I would, see things in the kids, and so I could help them get to that next level. So, and then, it became part of what we do, and at St. V, is that prayer is, I make it important and a part of everything that the kids do. And before practice we pray, before games we pray, and so that's part of the discipline that I speak of in the book.
So what about a person like me? Now, I don't play basketball.
Right.
I'm 60 years old. Could I glean something from the book?
Oh, definitely, because the principles aren't age specific or gender specific. The principles are for anyone at any age. And for me in my life, we talk about daring to dream, and how at midlife, God had my wife and I, we walked away from a job in corporate America and to begin our faith walk, as we call it. I wanted to coach basketball. At this time, I recognized this was my purpose, and before that, I'd been doing it after work, and but I wanted to do it full time. So we walked away from corporate America and have now been able to build a business around the basketball, and it's only because of how God has blessed us. And I recognize that opportunity in corporate America really. The training that I got there has helped me, but in the same, it wasn't where my heart was. At the end of the day, I was questioning myself, what have you done that really matters? And
in these seconds left, I want you to look in that camera,
okay,
and tell the viewing audience why they ought to buy that book.
I think you should buy the book because it's very practical wisdom. That's based on real life and some very great stories that will help you to understand some principles, and that if you live a principled life, you can live a successful life.
I thank you for our time together.
Thank you.
At Go Cavaliers, and thank you for being a big part of where we are today.
Thank you. Go Cavs, yes.
Yes.